Yo, this is your boy Quinn. Tonight we'll be talking about divergence. Uh, what exactly is divergence? How to spot divergence and how to use divergence and apply it to your trading system. So, before we actually start on divergence, you'll need specifically two things, which is price representation on any chart, whether it be candlesticks, line charts, bar charts, regardless of what, you must need a representation of price. And the secondary uh, thing that you would need is a momentum oscillator indicator. So,
Yes, and I got my container, so I'm gonna get it done. Oh, Jesus, what? No. Yeah, somebody's supposed to get my first.
so
What's up, brother?
what's up, man? I'm recording there, so I'll have to put you on mute for a little bit.
All right, I mean, like,
Yeah, so the secondary thing that you need is momentum oscillators, such as Traders Dynamic Index, which is also known as TDI, MACD, which is Moving Average Convergence Divergence, RSI, Relative Strength Index, Stochastics, and there are a bunch of other momentum oscillators that too much for me to mention right now. So the first thing what we need to do is actually explain how momentum indicators work. So momentum is the measurement of a rapid move within price, right? Is the measurement of speed or velocity. These these indicators actually measure the rate of rise and fall of price. In addition to that, it also measures market sentiment. Now, these indicators, these momentum indicators, is actually critical, and especially when you're trying to distinguish divergence. And later on in the presentation, we'll actually talk about why divergence is so important. So, market momentum is measured by continually taking price differences from a fixed time interval. So, just for example, if you have like a 21 time period interval, what it actually does, it measures 21. Let's say we're using a candlestick graph, it would measure the last 21 candles, and it would actually um, find the average price, and with that average price, there you'll have your actual average momentum. Now, according to the dictionary, divergence actually is stem from the root word diverge, and diverge actually means to go into a different direction or separating, which is just a synonym. Now, in regards to technical analysis, it simply states that price is going in one direction while the momentum indicator goes the opposite, right? Now, there are several types of divergence. We have the two main types are bullish and bearish divergence, and it all depends on what type of market you're looking at. So if you're in a bullish market, and you're trying to recognize a trend reversal, of course you'll be looking for bearish divergence. Right? So here we have regular divergence, which is also known as classic divergence. We have hidden divergence, which is a little harder to understand and spot. And then we have exaggerated divergence. All right? But all of them is actually the same thing. When price is going in one direction and the momentum oscillator is either going the opposite direction or it's not breaking its previous high. So what we're going to do is this is an example here. These are two of the most common divergence that are found in any market, right? So for classic divergence, price has to continuously be making lower lows, right? While on the oscillator, price has to be making higher highs, right? Now remember, uh, a few minutes earlier we was talking about the definition and why momentum oscillators are so critical to spotting divergence. It also shares market sentiment. So which means most traders actually, so even though price is going down, most traders believe that price is actually rising, right? And that is where we actually get the divergence from. Hidden divergence, it's a little harder to spot, but it's basically the same thing, right? This here is an example with a stochastic indicator, and here we actually spot divergence. So here you have higher tops, which shows a trend, of course. Yeah, a continuous higher high movement where the momentum oscillator is actually going lower and lower, right? So one of the most important things with spotting divergence, you always have to remember when you're looking for bearish divergence, you always have to measure the tops. If you're looking for bullish divergence, you have to measure the bottoms, right? So here we have an example of we're looking for bearish divergence, so which means we're looking for actual reversal, right? So here will actually be our first entry, right? Because let's just say we block out everything here, right? We don't know we are going to get higher highs. So here's actually our first entry because it's starting to diverge from this point right here, right? Then let's say it goes into profit, maybe 30, 40, 50 pips, and then reverses, probably hits the break even, and then makes another higher high. But you recognize that it continuously makes lower highs on the stochastic, right? So let's say this right here is our entry. And it goes on into profit again, maybe 60 or 70 pips. And it comes back once more, hit your break even. You're like, dang, I can't catch this thing for nothing. Then you realize it makes another higher high. Of course, you wouldn't be able to enter exactly at this point, right? But let's say you enter at the close of this candle. Instead of grabbing that 60 pips that you got right here, you're going to catch maybe like 150, 200 pips just based on this divergence alone. And from the time you start seeing bullish divergence, that's when you start looking for the door. You start looking for exits as soon as possible. So Divergence can be useful to any trading system. It all depends on what kind of trader you are. If you're a swing trader, uh, if you're a scalper, it doesn't matter. Divergence is crucial and important to any trading system, right? They can be used and seen on any time frame, on a daily, on a monthly time frame, all the way down to the 1 minute time frame, right? Um, they can be used to spot potential reversals, but to spot these potential reversals, you also have to use it in conjunction with other confluences, such as support and resistance, candlestick patterns, uh, quarter points, whole number, quarters. Um, you must have other confluences to go along with divergence, especially if you're looking for a reversal. Don't just see divergence taking place and take an entry. That's crazy, right? Um, Divergence also identifies trend completions, right? You see a trend coming to an end, you start to see divergence. Uh, and of course, these divergence can be used for entries and exits. So this is an example of divergence. And actually, this was today. All right, this was this morning. Actually, I caught this right here. Right, I caught this right here. I was seeing this is the TDI indicator, which is the Traders Dynamic Index, and this green line is a RSI line, a relative strength index line. Right. The reason why I like the TDI indicator, the TDI momentum oscillator, is because it's a conjunction of different oscillators. So here you have the green line is the RSI, the red is a moving average, the blue are something like Bollinger Bands, the yellow, which is called the market baseline. This is also a moving average. So there are several different um, aspects to this indicator that I like, and hence the reason why I choose to use it at most times. So here, um, we could clearly see that price is making higher highs, but market sentiment is simply not falling for those higher highs. They are not falling for it, right? And continuously keeps going down, even though prices keep on going up. So I'm looking for bearish divergence, so I'm measuring the tops, right? Here I'm making higher highs. These tops are making lower highs, right? I look for a nice candlestick pattern. This is my first candlestick pattern right here, bearish engulfing. All right, they came all the way back up. Then I saw a spinning top, shooting star, or evening star, anyone, right? Your entry could be right here. Your entry could be after this candle. And this is G card. This was about 60 pips or something like that. All right. Let's look at some more examples. So this is GBP Australian dollar, right? This is the 4-hour chart. So on the previous example, this is the 1-hour chart, right? This is the higher time frame. And on this example, I used it as an exit tool. I use divergence as an exit tool and an entry tool, right? So let's say I get in right here, right? Third bounce off the trend line. Or let's say I get in right here. Third bounce off the trend line, right? Boom. Price came down, start creating a nice little support zone, right? Came up, broke through the trend line. And especially if you're a trend trader, this is your exit, right? This is the exit regardless of what. Let's say most people like to, there are trading systems that actually trade once you break a trend line, that's an entry. So let's say one trader enter here, came back down, hit his stop loss, right? But during that time, we can actually see bullish divergence. Now remember, for bullish divergence, we measure the bottoms, right? So here on price, we have lower lows, right? You have one low here, and this is a lower low, right? But as you can see on the momentum oscillator, the TDI is not falling for it, right? He's continuously making higher highs, higher highs. On In addition, one of the other reasons why I liked the TDI, every time price breaches this blue band, which is the Bollinger Bands, it's almost like it's highly overextended. And once it's overextended, it must reset. You could see, you could go all the way back, you could test it out for yourself. Once it's out the band, it has to reach at least the middle of the actual band itself, right? So here on price, we have lower lows. On the indicator, we have higher highs, right? So here I have a nice railroad candlestick pattern. So this was actually my confirmation checklist. So the TDI was showing divergence, one. Second, I had a lovely railroad track candlestick pattern, right? This yellow box, it's a very good support area because remember, this is the 4-hour chart. Price was actually consolidating in this area for about, let's say, 5 or 6 or 7 trading days, right? So this is a very nice, a very strong support. And price came down, gave a little, um, gave us a little candlestick pattern here, and we thought that it was all the way back to being bullish. Unfortunately, things didn't work out. Broke through, probably hit our stop loss, railroad tracks, and then look what happened. This run alone is probably about 400 or 500 pips, right? The average daily range for this is 152 pips, right? So that alone should tell you that it's a monster. So um, divergence is very important, it's very crucial. There are lots of components to divergence, but once you start doing your homework and testing it out, the more and more you'll be able to spot it. The more and more it will become easier, and within no time you'll be able to actually inject divergence into your own personal trading system.